Hey everybody, welcome back to Mask of the Slasher. We are finishing out the Halloween season with a classic and one of Josh's favorites, Pumpkinhead from 1988. There it is.
Yeah.
He's a fan, if you didn't know. I will admit that I didn't see Pumpkinhead until I met you.
Okay.
It's another dumb name. I'm sorry, folks. I have a hang-up about dumb names of movies, and if it's stupid sounding, I'm usually not going to watch it. But I missed out on this one.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I've now seen it.
I'm glad you have too.
For every year.
I'm glad we could enjoy it together.
Yes, for the last 15, 16, I don't even know how many years now. So we did a rewatch today. Not that Josh needed it, but I did. And so we're gonna talk about the Pumpkinheads.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I'm excited.
So, like I said, this was released in 1988. It was a weird date, though, January 13th,
That
1988. Yeah, it's like...
I think you want to hit that one in time for Halloween, but...
Shit happens.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. And I don't know the story behind it, because there wasn't any Saw movies at the time to get in the way of that.
That's right. So who knows?
Who knows what it was. But either way, it's out.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. It was directed by Stan Winston.
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend. Unfortunately, late, great Stan Winston. This was actually his first... time directing a movie, and his only time directing a movie, actually. Prior to that and after that, he was known for special effects, and he worked on Predator and Jurassic Park and Terminator and Aliens. So thank you, Stan Winston, wherever you may be, for a fantastic childhood, because chances are, if you're into those types of movies, he had a hand in it. You know. It also stars Lance Henriksen, who most of you will probably know as Bishop from Aliens. He also played Frank Black in Millennium, which was a show that crossed over briefly with X-Files, and kind of in a similar vein as X-Files also. He was also one of the vampires in Near Dark. Those are probably the things he's most known for horror fans, but he has tons of credits. He's been acting forever and still does stuff today. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and because Stan Winston directed this, he didn't want to do all the special effects too. He definitely had his own folks from his studio doing special effects. But there's one person in particular that really stands out with the world's longest list of, having some sort of part in special effects makeup in a movie. So the special effects man we are speaking of is Howard Berger, like as in Hamburglar.
Howard Hamburglar?
Yes. So here you go. You ready? Okay.
Hit it.
Here we go. And I'm only listing the ones that I give a shit about.
Well, yeah.
Or that people really know anything about.
Of course.
Okay, so Day of the Dead, Evil Dead 2, Creepshow 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, 976 Evil. If you haven't seen that one...
It's a good one. We should probably cover that at some point.
We're definitely going to cover it because it's so corny.
Yeah.
So needless to say, his list is long as shit.
Yeah.
If you want to see the entire thing, go to IMDb.
Yeah.
And you'll be there for a while.
Our story begins in the 1950s. We see a young Ed Harley, who later is played by Lance Henriksen. He's living in a cabin. His family is in a rural area. They're obviously afraid of something. It's nighttime. We see a man running outside from something that's chasing him, which we don't really see. Ed is confused and scared. His parents just kind of tell him to chill.
Chill out, bro.
The guy comes to their door. Ed's dad won't let him in, and he eventually gets killed by this creature that we only see very small glimpses of, and it kind of just haunts Ed for the rest of his life.
Yes. And then we're at present day.
Yep.
It's just Ed and his son Billy, and Ed owns a convenience store, a town, I don't know what you want to call it, a country store, whatever the shit. It's a catch-all for the town. There's nothing else around.
There's nothing else there, so it kind of has to have everything.
It's kind of out in a weird place, in my opinion, though, because I'm like, shouldn't it be in more in town? But no, it's out in the middle of nowhere, off a beaten path.
Yeah.
And so they're just doing their thing, and Ed definitely loves his son.
Yeah.
And his son has a dog named Gypsy, which I learned today that dog's actual name is Mushroom.
It's just fantastic.
It really is. It's so cute. So they're at the store, and then suddenly a bunch of asshole yuppies show up, and it's always the case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a gas station, but it's close. They probably couldn't find a gas station for this movie to use, but... the asshole people have to come in. They're going to go and have a fun party at a cabin.
They're riding dirt bikes around for no apparent reason.
Yes, just felt like I need to do this right now.
Exactly.
No other time is available. Even though we're not far from our own cabin.
Right.
This is the place to do it.
Yep.
In a field.
Yes.
So they're doing their stupid shit. The two guys are doing that. I think they're brothers.
Yeah.
And one's name is Joel and the other one is Steve.
Yep.
Real clever names. There's 4 other people. There's 3 chicks and another dude who's kind of a wuss.
Yeah.
And they're just hanging back. You know, I don't know what dude's issue was, Chris.
Yeah.
Why he had to have a vest on, why him and his girlfriend had to have vests on. Like they're part of like National Geographic.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're photographers. Wanted to buy beer.
Yeah.
There ain't no liquor in
no
here. So, but while they're hanging out doing that thing, watching dipshits ride their motorcycles, then the town hillbillies come in.
Yeah.
And it's Pa
Yeah.
driving the truck, and then there's what, like 4 kids?
Yeah,
Is it
4 or 5, I can't remember.
There's
a lot. There's a gaggle.
There's a gaggle. A dirty, dirty gaggle. Yeah. If you were to ever wonder what Pigpen looked like in real life, it's these children. Yeah. Of course, that's definitely playing off of Deliverance.
Yeah.
And the hillbillies. I'm surprised one of them didn't bust out a banjo.
Well, yeah, as we've discussed when we watched Texas Chainsaw, or when we covered Texas Chainsaw and I Spit on Your Grave, there's a lengthy tradition of these sort of, you know, yuppies or whatever you want to call it come in and run afoul of of the rednecks or the hillbillies, you know. So just keeping with that tradition.
You just gotta. Yeah. While they're there, there's of course the oldest to youngest kids, and of course the littlest one gets picked on. And I don't know what this is and why it happens in movies, but when kids want to tease somebody, they circle around them. Never once, when I was bullied when I was a kid, did kids circle around me. Yeah. I think it's weird.
It is weird.
But anyway, so they're like, oh, Pumpkinhead's going to get you. Yeah. Pumpkinhead.
And they recite the poem that was the inspiration for the movie, actually.
Photographer people want to come over and take pictures of the country folk.
Yep.
So
Let's
tacky.
exploit these children.
Yes. And one of them's like, what's that? Yeah. And his brother's like, that's a camera, you idiot.
An older brother's name is Bunt, by the way.
Bunt? Is that what it is?
His name is Bunt.
I thought it was Bud.
No, it's Bunt. Which is really funny because it makes me think of 2 things. One, obviously, baseball.
Yes.
And then there's a Killdozer album. If you've never listened to Killdozer, you should. There's an album called Little Baby Buntin'. That always makes me think of it.
You know what makes me think of? Is my big fat Greek wedding.
What is it? It's a bunt. A bun? Bunt. Bun, bonk, bonk. Bunt. Bun. Bunt.
You've ever watched that? There's a whole thing about the bunt cake. Yeah, he's never watched it, but it's the bunt cake.
He could be named after a baseball, or he could be named
after a cake that they can never afford in their life.
That's right.
They eat just dirt pies, you know.
Dirt, yeah. I think the animals eat better than the people do.
They probably do. They're just eating dirt.
Yep.
So, okay, great. Well, okay, so Hillbilly Dad, he's there to get his supplies and his grain or feed.
He's getting feed for his animals.
Yeah. And Dad forgot it at home, so he's like, I'll deliver it to your house. And he leaves Billy there with his dog and these asshole yuppies, which is weird. Yeah. And why they didn't lock it, you know. But the thing is that Gypsy, the dog, gets excited about the motorcycle and runs out the door, and Billy goes running after.
Yes.
And I don't even know how this could happen, but the motorcycle, one of them lands on Billy.
Yeah.
And he's dead.
Well, yeah.
And I just don't see how that's realistic in any way.
It's not.
It would have been better if they're like, hey, let's take off, and then they run over him with the car or something. Yeah. So Joel, the asshole, the older brother, the one that, definitely had to ride his motorcycle first.
And I might add, he looks and acts a lot like the asshole in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, Rod.
Yeah.
I know, I thought about it too.
Like a Rod clone.
Yeah, except his jacket's brown and Rod's is black.
There you go.
Rod's badder
than
true. Joel.
He hadn't quite been enough of an asshole to graduate to a black jacket.
That's
yet.
right. That's right.
So he probably could have earned it after this movie had he survived.
Could have. Yeah. So he's the one that killed the kid, and then he immediately is like, oh, fuck this, and he packs up his motorcycle, and they're like, where are you going? What are you doing? He's like, oh, well, I've been drinking beer and blah, blah, blah. And so he doesn't want to take responsibility for it, so essentially a hit and run.
Right. So Rod takes off with his girlfriend, or Rod, he's not Rod. I'm getting my assholes confused. Joel takes off with his girlfriend because he doesn't want to take responsibility for what happened. Steve stays behind with the kid, tells everybody else to go to this cabin that they were originally going to anyway because there's a phone there they can call for help.
Yes. And, of course, that's pretty messed up. It's a messed up situation, but whatever. They go do their thing, and Dad comes back. Yeah. And why he didn't go straight to the Wallace's house, which is the hillbillies. Yeah. Why didn't he go straight to the house to drop up the feed? I don't understand. Maybe he was like, oh, I forgot my kid. I don't know. But he went back to the store and found out that poor Billy, he was dead. Yeah. So, and there was no reasoning with him, obviously. Why would you be able to try to do that? Yeah. But here's the weird part. Now, I understand they're out in the middle of nowhere, supposedly. Mm-hmm. Really, it was probably the California hills, more than likely.
Probably.
It's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And so he just brings him back home.
Yeah.
And he's just wiping his face off like that's going to bring him back.
Yeah, I think
and
he's just
in
distraught.
denial.
Just, first your wife dies and then you lose your young child as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just probably just mentally
he's done.
gone.
It just, I would have gone to the hospital. I don't know, something. Yeah. There has to be a doctor somewhere.
One would think.
So he's so distraught, and then he goes to the Wallace's house because he knows these Hicks also know about Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
And that there's some way to help him, but
Yeah.
he doesn't know how. So he's like, how do I do this? Who do I go to? That's exactly what he sounds like, right? And Mr. Wallace, he says, I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to mess with Pumpkinhead.
Well, yeah, he does. I think he just knows what will happen.
Yeah.
If it gets unleashed, and he doesn't. I think Ed's probably the closest thing he's got to a friend out there.
Yeah.
So.
He's in his own mean asshole way was trying to protect everybody.
Exactly.
But so Ed's driving away, and he's got Billy in the truck, dead Billy, which is weird too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the oldest grandson.
Yeah.
He stops Ed, and he's like, I know where to go.
Yeah.
So he takes him to...
Haggis.
Yes, her name is Haggis, which we all know is a very foul food. Also a witch.
Yes.
Also a witch. Old Haggis the witch.
Yep.
I was like, it was such a funny name for me. I don't know.
Exactly. And she's got a fantastic witch's lair, I might add. There's everything
does.
you could want. There's owls, there's spiders, there's rats.
Yeah, and then there's
Skulls, bones.
the weird droopy hanging tree shit,
Yep.
and there's fog.
Yeah.
She's got like a moat around
Yeah.
her. There's no other water anywhere else in this town but around the
That's
witch.
right. She's got the most fabulous witch's lair ever.
It is. And then something we discussed was that there's a rat in there, and he makes the rat sound. Never once in my life have I heard a rat make a sound. I did own a rat one time. Never peeped.
Right?
But every rat in every movie makes that one
A
sound.
high-pitched squeal.
So he's like, "Hey, Haggis, can you help me get back at these people and whatever?" And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to do that." And he's like, "Yes, I do, motherfucker."
Yeah.
So she says, "All right, bro, you need to go over to this dead-ass pumpkin cemetery to a tree stump." This is the weirdest thing ever. The tree stump, and you go up to the top of it and you go and dig out
Yes.
Pumpkinhead.
A shriveled, mummified corpse of Pumpkinhead.
And it is. I had to really concentrate and ask Josh. I'm like, "Is that really him?"
Yeah.
Because it's so weird looking.
Yeah.
Just kind of a weird place to be buried.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe because then he's part of the roots and the earth.
Yeah, I think
He's a
so.
pumpkin.
Yeah. I mean, he's, yeah.
So, he digs up Pumpkinhead, brings the old Pumpkinhead corpse back to Haggis,
Yep.
and she does her shit.
Yep. She takes some of his blood, some of Billy's blood, gives Pumpkinhead a little sip, and boom.
Yeah.
Reanimated, grows to full size,
Yeah, real quick, too.
and off he goes.
Yeah, and what happens in this spell, I guess that's what you would call it,
Yeah.
is that Ed can feel all of the emotion that Pumpkinhead feels. It's
Yeah.
almost like a telekinetic
Yeah, they're sort of
thing.
linked, yeah.
Yeah, because of the blood.
Yeah.
So Pumpkinhead is loose.
Yep. He is loose, and he stalks and begins killing all the obnoxious yuppies. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny because Steve buys it first, and you think he's going to be the hero of the
Yeah, 'cause he was
second
the one
half
that
of the
stayed.
story because he stayed and seemed to care the most. Nope.
Yeah.
Gets it right away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say my only complaint about Pumpkinhead is I don't feel like the deaths are that creative.
Right.
I mean, he just picks people up and drops
yeah.
them, but I have to say the best one. Who was it that was dropped off at the kitchen window?
Oh, that was Maggie, I think.
Okay, so they're just sitting there in the cabin, all just like, oh shit, what's happening? And Maggie had tried to be a big hero at one point and go and find her friend and blah blah blah, and suddenly you just see Maggie's face just kind of being pushed up against the kitchen window, and then just smeared into it, and it just looks like Pumpkinhead is doing her from behind, having some pumpkin sex.
Pumpkin fun.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
He was spreading his seed,
Oh, I see what you did there.
and then pushes her through the glass.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the most creative one out of all of them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bummer because here you have somebody who's into special effects makeup. And all this crazy shit that they could do, and then they don't, maybe they're like, oh, we blew our budget on everything else. Just drop them.
Exactly.
You know. So, but yeah, they just get offed one by one. And then at the end, you just have the two weenies of the group.
Yeah.
They're left and they're trying to get help. And they end up at the Wallace's house.
Yep.
And of course they won't let him in, just like at the beginning of the movie where
Right.
people aren't, because they're like, no,
Yeah.
you're marked. I don't want you in the house.
Exactly.
We're making stew.
That's right.
And so the oldest grandson, once again, he comes out, Bunt. Old Bunt Cake comes out, and he's like, hey, do you want to put strawberries on me? Well, yes, I do. I'd like some strawberries. So anyway, old Bunty comes out, and he's like, I'll help you.
Yeah.
So they go running off, and as they're, they get confronted again by Pumpkinhead. He just keeps popping up.
Yep.
He's just, he's sprouting everywhere.
He is. He's popping up all over the place.
Anyway.
When you least expect.
And so does Ed.
Yes.
He just pops up out of nowhere.
Yes.
And goes to try to shoot Pumpkinhead.
Well, yeah, he realizes what he did probably wasn't the best choice.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he's feeling every single one of those deaths and all
Yeah.
that, and it's just like, yeah, this wasn't the way to do this.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Pet Cemetery.
Yeah. Although I will say, at that point, there's only 2 left, so maybe he should have just been like, there's only a couple more.
Yeah, just let it go.
just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
So they get back to Ed's house after he picks him up, kind of rescues him. Earlier in the movie, he had a flamethrower, which he's burning brush with, and now that comes back into play because he's planning to use it to burn Pumpkinhead.
And have pumpkin pie later.
And have pumpkin pie later.
I wonder if it smells good.
It might.
So Ed walks into an enormous pitchfork as he's carrying out this flamethrower.
Yeah.
And that's when he decides to give up on life. And he goes to his truck and he shoots himself.
Well, yeah, because he really sees that when he gets hurt with the pitchfork, he sees that Pumpkinhead feels it. So like it goes both ways. Like he's just feeling everything that Pumpkinhead feels, but Pumpkinhead also feels his pain as well, because we kind of see a little bit of that earlier when Ed gets bitten by a dog and Pumpkinhead kind of winces and looks at his wrist.
Yeah.
So, but then Ed realizes it here with the pitchfork part. So he goes to the truck to get his pistol out of the glove box, because every hillbilly has a pistol in their glove box. Surely.
Why not?
Meanwhile, Tracy, I believe, is the girl that's still left at this point. She grabs the flamethrower, hits Pumpkinhead, nails Pumpkinhead with it, and he just kind of shrugs it off. He's like, nah, bitch, I'm a demon. Flames don't work on me.
Yeah. I'm from hell, motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Ed shoots himself in the head. Pumpkinhead drops. But Ed's still alive after a point-blank headshot to the temple, which, I don't know, man.
I think it's because he's possessed.
Oh, yeah.
And you get that idea because he's got really uncomfortable lenses in his eyes.
Yes, he does
oh my
have some
gosh.
gnarly,
Those are some thick
contacts
sons
in.
of bitches.
Yeah.
Like a damn ashtray in his eyes.
Yep.
So I think that's why he still lives through that.
Yeah.
But then...
Yeah, so Tracy shoots. So Tracy picks up the gun, finishes him off. Pumpkinhead drops dead, and then he bursts into flames because he's going back to hell where he came from.
Basically, he just shrivels back up. And
well, that's the interesting thing, is if you look at when Haggis is reburying him at the end, you see he's got a full head of hair, and he's wearing the necklace that Billy gave Ed. So it's actually Ed's shriveled corpse that's going back, back in the dirt.
Didn't pay attention to that. I was taking notes. That's pretty interesting, though. Yeah. So Ed's just the new
next
version.
One, yeah.
Gosh. Well, and I've never seen the second one.
I don't.
Okay, I won't.
Don't.
Okay. But I'm just saying, is the second one, does he look like Ed, kind of?
No, as the second, like the sequels have nothing to do. The only thing that's the same is that Pumpkinhead's in them. As I recall. I've only seen them each once, probably, and the only thing I remember about them is that they're so bad you shouldn't ever bother watching them.
There you go, folks. Don't ever watch them. Yeah. Apparently, it's a waste of time.
It is.
Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
It is.
It is a Halloween classic. You really have to watch it. It is, once again, like most horror, it is the be careful what you wish for story.
Yes.
And like I said, it does remind me of Pet Cemetery, same idea where it's like, oh, well, I'll bring something back.
Yeah.
Some way or another. Obviously, he's not going to bring his son back.
Right.
But it's still that idea of I'm going to conjure up a demon to take care of some shit, and it never works out.
Exactly. It's the old, proverb or whatever of if you seek vengeance, dig 2 graves, one for yourself and one for whoever you're seeking revenge on.
Yeah.
And this is a great movie. The story moves quickly. There's not a ton of character development, but you really don't need a ton of character development. No. The creature design is fantastic, as one would expect from Stan Winston's studio. Lance Henriksen's performance is great. The actress that plays Haggis, I freaking love her because she's just like over the top, and her makeup is fantastic.
And they do an interview with her in that extra stuff too.
So yeah, for me it's a classic. I saw it as a kid, not in the theater, unfortunately. This was a rental.
Oh my god!
But I saw this on a rental, and I just loved it ever since because I just think the creature design, was great, and I love Lance Henriksen, and I love Stan Winston. So I wish he had had the opportunity to direct more films before he passed away because I love Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. Now, one question I do have.
Yeah.
The sound effect.
Yeah.
Is that not from Alien?
It's a similar sounding effect, but
Yeah.
it's not quite the same as.
And it's like almost like an insect.
Yeah, it kind of sounds
sound.
like, yeah.
I feel like this sound has been used on more than one movie, is all I'm saying. And it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
It's how you know he's coming.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. But Pumpkinhead is enormous.
Yeah.
He is a big son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And that just makes him terrifying,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, he's all gangly and,
Yeah.
lanky and weird looking, kind of similar design to the xenomorph in a way. Reminiscent, but still its
Yeah.
own thing.
Anyway, we hope that you have seen this movie at this point. If you haven't, this is the time to do it. I
Yes.
mean, we're right around the corner from Halloween right now, and what better way to spend Halloween and the next couple days than watching what's left of the Halloween movies?
Yes.
Obviously, as horror fans, we watch these things year-round, but it just has a little bit more
Yeah.
something about it, more atmosphere,
Yeah.
all the spooky pumpkins that you get,
That's
you know, and I just think it's necessary. It's a necessary pumpkin.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes.
It's a must watch for every Halloween season.
Absolutely. So let us know in the comments, what you think of everything. And once again, we appreciate your support.
Yes.
And we hope that you have a fun and safe Halloween, because I am that dork that's going to remind you
Yeah.
to be careful while there are children outside, and to make sure if you do have children that they are well lit in
Yes.
some way or another.
Yes, absolutely.
We usually give out glow sticks for kids because it's unsafe,
Yeah.
especially on our street that just got streetlights.
Finally.
Have a good Halloween, and we'll see you, I don't know, next week sometime.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.